Hey everyone, you probably clicked on this video because you want to see how you can spice up your races in Forza Motorsport by creating multi-class races, or you probably tried to make one, but you ran into some issues where the rules you made for the multi-class classes don't get followed. Well, lucky for you, I've been showing people how to make multi-class races from the past two Forzas, and I'm showing you how to not only make a multi-class race here, but also show you some of the common issues you'll run into and how to fix them. Because as of right now, the state of this is pretty buggy. Well, let's get started, shall we? So going into free play, you are of course going to want to go to advanced event setup to have the option for multi-class racing. Then of course first you choose your car you want to be in, so here you basically pick your desired class you want to race in. So starting here with this in the game type, there's an option for multi-class racing, but it's not my preferred way of setting up the multi-class unless you want two classes only, because you can have up to 4 different classes. So in order to find the multi-class generator, you go to rules, and all the way at the bottom you'll find this section called car groups. Finally glad they changed the name from buckets, but here you can choose first how many classes you want, so it can go from 2, 3 or 4, or you can turn it off by just setting it to none. Under that we have 2 options. First, score groups independently. Means that there will be a winner for each class like in traditional multi-class racing in real life. Pretty easy to understand. Then we have order by car group. So this basically orders the grid, and it first puts group 1, which is a group tab in the right, up front, then followed by group 2, group 3, and finally group 4 at the back. The good thing about this option is you can set the grid to random order and still have group 1 up front and group 4 at the back. It'll just randomize the 6 places for each group. Don't be alarmed when you set this option and the driver list looks like this, because for whatever reason, random does not show the actual accurate driver grid lineup. So yeah, there's a first issue there, which is a visual issue right there. So let's go over some important things, which is this. By default, you as the player will be put into group 1. And here I'm making this the fastest class. But let's say I want to be in the slower class like this GT class I'm going to make here. Well, lucky for you, unlike Forza 7, here in this game you can change to another car group, and that of course can be done once you go to the race, which I'll show you in a minute. So here's an example multi-class setup I made. It's a good old-fashioned WC race from back in the day. So we have Forza P1, Forza P2, and Forza GT from 816 to 899 Pi, and Forza GT from 800 to 815 Pi. You may notice I also have the groups their own name, which you can do of course here at the top in the group name. Now, another issue I found is the min-max driver settings for the groups. They don't work, because I've tried everything and no matter what I do, depending how many classes you have, the game will just evenly divide them. But there's a bit of a workaround for that, which is by changing the group for the AIs, which I'll show you when we get to the race. Okay, so before we go to the race, let's say you want to use this multi-class setup again when you come back to this game after a while, but don't want to go through the hassle of making the setup again. Well, good news is you can save and load your event setups for future use, so you can easily and quickly set up your custom multi-class races again. Well, now let's get into the race because I have more things to show you. So if you tried before setting up a multi-class race before, which I have seen in my comments in my last video because you probably ran into this issue. Now if you look at your driver lineup, you'd say, oh no, everyone is using the same car as me and not using the car meant for each class. Good news is there's a workaround for this. So what you're basically going to need to do is go back to event setup here and just reconfigure something in the settings that makes the game ask you if you want to accept the changes. And just like that, it should get the correct cars for the groups. So now how do you change car groups? Because remember by default, you're put in group 1 and the game probably already asked you to change car 2 if you select a different group. Well, that's easy. You're going to want to go to driver list and click on your name and you'll see the option change car group. And there you would just go to your desired class. So this same method can also be applied towards the AI and you can change your car group the same way I did on myself. However, if you take a look, they don't immediately change their car and it won't change when you start the race. So any guesses on what you need to do? That's right, you go to reconfigure the settings again. Also, if this does bother you and your class is using all the same car as you and want a bit more diversity, what I tried out was that worked is this. I first changed their car group, reconfigure the settings, then change their car group back to the original and change the settings again. Yeah, I really hope they can come with a fix with this soon. And yeah, that's it. You just made your first proper multi-class race and now you should be able to fix any of the issues you run into. If you do have any questions or other issues, leave a comment below and I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. Also, if you ask, can this be translated in private multiplayer? And the answer is yes. The only difference I see is that the other players would have to change their group by themselves. but pretty much the same settings are there just like in free play when setting up a multi-class race. Well, there we have it. Now you can spice up your races in Forza Motorsport, and the sky's the limit here. You don't have to follow my type of classes. You can make all sort of wacky multi-class races and come up with some of the most bizarre racing events. So as of right now, if Forza does come up with some updates that fixes the state of making multi-class races, what I'll probably do is have a pinned comment highlighting any fixes Turn 10 makes to the multi-class settings, so just in case some things in the video get outdated. Well guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.